Some of you have amazing, wonderful families where everybody gets along and there's always peace in the house at the holiday season. But for others of you, you have more fireworks than the 4th of July. As Aunt Betty and Uncle Joe get together, they start fighting, or you start talking conservative versus liberal politics, or whatever it looks like. Well, today on Creating the Future, I am joined by my good friend, Kingsley Grant, family therapist, who is going to teach us 5 steps to getting along with our family this Thanksgiving and holiday season. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to this edition of Creating the Future with me, Dr. Brent Simpson, where we dive into stories and truths and deep questions that help shape our faith, our families, and of course, our future. Today, I have a very special guest on the podcast, and we get to focus on the family side of it because we know we love our families, but sometimes they can be a little bit much. And today I have a very special guest of having Kingsley Grant, an old friend of mine, who's going to give you 5 steps to getting along with and keeping peace with your family this Thanksgiving. If you live in one of those families where it can be really hard to have peace in the middle of the holidays, you are especially going to want to listen to this episode or watch, as well as share it with somebody who you think it might be beneficial for. Now, Kingsley Grant has been a friend of mine for many years. In fact, we were both youth pastors years ago, back when we both had hair and we were both young, and I met him way back then. And then he took a whole turn in his career, still doing ministry, but a different type of ministry in counseling and family therapy and marriage counseling and things like that. And today, Kingsley Grant is the host of Build Your Happier Marriage podcast, a published author, licensed marriage and family therapist, a certified relationship coach, and he specializes in helping wives of entrepreneur husbands better understand their spouses, rekindle love, and deepen intimacy, all while maintaining a heart of peace and joy. He's been married since 1985. Kingsley is a proud dad, a man of faith, an eternal optimist, and a student for life. He also performs his Grammy-worthy songs exclusively in the shower, he says. I'm going to take your word for that, Kingsley. I'm not going into the shower
Please
with
do.
you, but Kingsley, welcome to the show. We're excited to have you today.
Dr. Brent, it's my privilege. I look forward to this because it's really rekindling some things, not only the relationship and the memories, but also an opportunity to talk about a very special thing, the family and Thanksgiving, because we know how that can be. And if you've been around for any family situation, especially if you have family like mine, it can be a challenge. So I'm excited about this conversation.
Right, right. Yeah, and you are a great person to have it with because I know in your world, I see you on social media, and I don't know anybody that might raise more flags on social media than you, where you're a little bit conservative in the middle of a liberal area, and you say things and it sparks all kinds of stuff. So
Yeah.
so I'm sure that happens to some degree in your
Yeah.
family or at least your surroundings. And so I'm gonna hand the floor over to you for a minute. So 5 steps to getting along with your family this Thanksgiving. Get us going. What are these 5 steps?
So I want to start with a step number 5 and then work backwards because I think sometimes if we have an idea of what we want to see happen,
Mhm.
especially at Thanksgiving, I know in my own family, I have a mix of people that have different personalities and so on.
Right.
And I knew who was coming to our dinner. And in my mind, I'm thinking, how do I navigate this? What would I do? What would I want to see at the end of the night? And if I start with the end in mind, most times we're able to get there. And so I want to kind of do this in this our time together. So step number 5 is leave with lots of love and less leftovers.
Mm.
So this is an idea. If I want to have that as the end of night for my family, and as you're watching, want to have that for your family. If we start with that in mind, the question becomes, how do we get there? How do we get there? And then I want to have share 4 steps to that process of how to navigate, how to possibly manage as best as possible things that may be out of your control, but still get to a place where the family can still hug and love on one another at the end of the day. So,
Yeah.
step number 1, don't expect this Thanksgiving to be a Hallmark movie shoot. Right?
Okay.
Right? Because sometimes we have this idea that, okay, we're going to get together this year and everything we're planning to gonna go just fine, just perfect. No, it's not gonna happen. It's
Yeah.
not gonna happen because there's so many things going on in our world today. And we know once you touch on a certain topic, it's like boom, everything goes explodes, right?
Yeah.
And then everything gets thrown off. How do we get there? So I find we want to set ourselves up for success, not for disappointment, right?
Mhm.
And so when this family gathering happen, we have to remember Uncle Joe is going to show up. Aunt Maisie is going to show up, and we know what they do when they get together.
Yeah.
The sparks start flying.
Yeah.
What do you now do? I don't know if you've ever had that experience, but I know for me, at times we have certain family members. And I remember years back, a certain family member that we would, I'm gonna think, how do I do this? But thank God, with this idea in mind, we were able to navigate and shift. And so that's what I want to kind of unpack in this time together. So that's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
step number one. Don't expect this Thanksgiving to be a Hallmark movie shoot,
That's
even though
so
everyone
good.
comes dressed up and all that stuff, but don't expect it to be that way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love it. So let me jump in here and let me start out by this. So I love with start with the end in mind. I mean, I think if we did that with most things in life, we'd be far more successful. In leadership theory, that goes back to a person called Frederick Taylor, and it's called Frederick or Taylorism is what that's referred to.
Mm.
That we actually start with the end and then we map everything out. So this is a great strategy now for Thanksgiving. And then the Hallmark thing. Oh my goodness, we live on Instagram and TikTok and all these places, and you see everybody's gorgeous family and how beautiful it is and how wonderful their food looks at their table and how everybody's getting along. But yet we've all been in that Christmas photo with our kids where you are threatening them with their life if they don't smile for five
Yeah.
seconds for this one for this one photo, or you're bribing them with McDonald's afterwards to get them to stop crying and to smile for this photo because we know that's not real. Every one of us knows it's not real, that Hallmark version of life you called it. Yet
Yeah.
we sometimes expect it for whatever reason. So I love that step one. So yeah, just
Yeah.
just don't even start with perfection. That's just not real.
Yeah, I love what you just said. I love what you just said because we see so much of the social media highlight reels, right? And we
Hmm.
think that's the reality, but we
Right.
don't know what it's taken to get that picture and that one shot,
Yeah.
5 takes, 15
Yeah.
takes, and
Yeah.
so on, and beating somebody down and getting them all dressed up and wipe off the blood and put them back together and boom, take a
Right.
picture, right?
Yeah.
That's what we see.
So good. So good. I love that. I love that. All right. So what's step two then?
Step two is know what triggers you and
Mm,
have a plan of action.
so good.
Know yourself, right? Know
Hmm.
thyself. Because I think for me, for example, I know the things that can trigger me. And if I have that in mind, I have a plan. What do I need to do when that moment occurs, right? So I
Hmm.
think I said there are certain landmines like topics, for example, politics or a family member or whatever. Those things can be a landmine that can blow up, and if you
Yeah.
don't know what they are and who is carrying them, you're going to step on that thing and
Hmm.
explosion occurs. So if I know myself and I walk in that, I'm saying, Kingsley, so suppose this person, family member, no name mentioned, comes in and start this conversation, what will you do? So I kind
Yeah.
of go through that scene in my head because I know exactly what's going to happen.
Hmm.
And I'm going to say, Kingsley, what are you going to manage? Yourself, number one. And what is your pivot away from that? So know what triggers you and have a plan of
Right.
action. And if you can only protect that, you have a better chance of experiencing the kind of night or Thanksgiving that you want.
That's so good. That's so good. We have to be people that are always planning for these things. You'd never go into a sporting event, a sport game, and not have some sort of plan. And yes, sometimes the plan doesn't go exactly the way we wanted, but you still have to go into a plan. What's the old quote? I'll probably butcher it here, but you plan to succeed or you plan to fail kind of thing. If you don't plan, you're planning to fail. I
Yes.
forget the quote exactly, but I think
Yeah.
that's very true in this moment. And I think people forget sometimes that you can recreate these things in your head because like you said, Uncle Joe when that comes up is going to be a controversial topic. Or my goodness, I mean, we're in a world of we love Trump or we hate Trump. We crucify him or we deify him. One of these two things happen all the time. Or politics, conservative, liberal, all these. So you know what those triggers are, and I think it's a really powerful thing when we decide in advance how we're going to react and have a plan for how we'll
Yeah.
respond in those moments.
One of the things I teach, Dr. Brent, is I call it a PBR, right? So it's like the pause, breathe, and reframe.
I thought you were talking about professional bull riding for a second. PBR.
That's a good one. Hey, okay, wow, that's a good one. You know what? I normally when I teach my clients and I work with them, I say, hey, think of PBJ, right? Peanut butter and jelly.
Mhm.
So I wanted to remember what I'm going to teach them. I said, okay, have that in mind, but just change the J to an R. So it's a pause, breathe, and reframe. So if
Mm,
we know ourselves, like for me, if I'm triggered, I know the back of my neck, it starts to get warm. And the moment I feel that, I'm saying, Kingsley, it's time to breathe. So I pause, I take a deep breath and slow things down. And then I reframe by thinking, what else can I, what meaning can I assign to this? What can I think
yeah,
differently and
yeah.
see this person a certain way? It changes the game if I'm able to slow it down. As the Bible says, be swift to hear, slow to speak. So that's
Hmm.
a whole James formula. So I'm
Yeah.
hearing something, seeing something. How do I slow it down so I get a different outcome, which is more righteous? This PBR allows someone to get there faster than if they don't have a plan, you know?
Yeah, that's really good. I think it's also important that as we talk about scheming or planning for this moment, that you started with the end in mind, right? You got to start there
Yeah,
because the if the end in mind is that you want peace and love and
right,
in a peaceful home, then planning is not planning how you're going to defeat your cousin in the liberal versus conservative argument.
right.
Because I'm scared somebody might hear planning and strategizing, and they
That's,
might hear, well,
that's true.
I'm gonna beat him this year in this argument. And if you do
Yeah,
that, probably nobody wins. We
exactly.
all end up losing. So you plan with the end in mind that you're actually
Yeah,
planning for peace, not planning to win an argument. Because too
very good
oftentimes
point.
we win the argument and lose the person, and I don't think we want to do that with our families.
It's a very, and I think the phrase was, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail, right? You were
There it
saying,
is. Yeah,
right?
there it is.
And I think that's the idea. You know, I think Proverbs 29:11 says, a fool wants, I mean, vents all his feelings, but a wise person quietly holds them back,
Yeah.
you know? So I think if the end in mind is always kept front and center, then everything we're doing and talking about here is with that lens, that prism, that goal, that filter. So we're constantly thinking, if I want that outcome here, what do I need to do?
Mhm.
PBR allows me to get there.
That's so good. That's so good.
Right?
All right. Was that point two? Is that where we're at? So we're going to point
Yes.
three?
Step number two, yeah.
All right.
Step number three now is
Step three.
step number three. Don't take the bait, no matter how tempting
Mm,
it is. Right?
mm,
Don't take the
yeah.
bait, no
Yeah.
matter, I'm not a fisher guy. I love to see my brother-in-law. He loves to fish, and he talks about many times about the skill and the strategy and the plan and the bait to catch a fish, and boom, it gets a bite. I've
Hmm.
tried it, it never worked. But I can tell you, in a family situation, there's constant bait setting being made, and people are trying to get you to pull you in a direction, to agree with them and side with them about something or
Yeah.
someone.
Yeah.
Look out and be as I would say as strategic as possible, so you don't take the bait, because baits are being set all the time. And when you refuse to take the bait, you stop giving them your power, right? So
Mm.
this is the idea of, if you want love and peace at the end of the night, don't take the bait. And no matter how tempting it seems, I know the food is tempting, but don't take this one bait right here, you know?
Right, that's so good. I mean, the problem with taking the bait is because there's always a hook with the bait, right? It's not just the bait. It's going to hook you. It's going to take you somewhere that you probably don't want to go,
Yeah.
somewhere that, in this sense, the enemies probably does want to get you to go. So you have division in your home. My
Yeah.
youngest son is doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu right now. That's like his
Ah,
sport. He's 9 years old. He's doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and so we've had a lot of funny Brazilian jiu-jitsu conversations. And years ago, I actually did it too as an adult, but years ago, and I was explaining to him that I used to have to roll or wrestle with the guy who was the actual the coach, the leader of it, the guy who taught us. I would roll with him all the time because he was the only guy that was bigger like I was. A lot of the other guys were real small. And so I would have to roll with him. And he would constantly like just stick his arm out. And he was just baiting me to grab his arm because you can't help but grab it. You got to grab it. You got to do
yeah.
it. And I would grab the arm, and 10 seconds later, I'm tapping out because he has me in some weird hold. And I would take the bait. And so I
Yeah.
love this. I love this. Don't take the bait. And I would even say that you probably, if you're listening to this, you probably know what the bait is. You
Yes.
know the
Yeah.
stuff they're going to lay out there to get you to step into. And
Yeah.
so don't take the bait. Great advice. Great advice.
Yeah, I find sometimes people who know me, I would say a public figure per se, and they will try to bring up some things in
Right.
those conversations, and I have to be very aware of that. And I say, okay, Kingsley, here's the bait. It's probably being said for you, right? And everything that's said, you don't have to respond to. You don't have to
Mhm.
comment on that, right? Because I'm not here for an argument. I'm here to keep my peace. I'm here to end the night
Wow.
with love. If I keep that in the back of my mind, like you were saying earlier, then I will be able to then do a better job of not taking that bait.
Oh, yes. The discipline of silence, the discipline of not responding. Just you may even have an answer, but sometimes it's better just to keep the mouth shut. Yeah. I love that.
I love what Solomon said. Of course, I mean, a gentle answer, right? Turns
Mm.
away wrath, or turns away,
Yeah.
yeah, turns away
Yeah.
wrath. And I
Yeah.
tell my clients many times, I say, hey, a gentle answer is not just what you say,
Mm.
right? It's how you say it, it's when you say it, it's where you say it, it's
Yeah.
timing, it's
Yeah.
all of that together. And sometimes you can communicate through non-verbally in that
Right.
moment. Maybe just lean in and give a hug, or just a tap and say, hey, just shift your position. That can change things around. And that's a gentle answer that can turn away whatever was being said for you. You
Yeah.
can just like, hey, man, navigate that in a very much simpler way than you would if you get involved in that moment.
Yeah. That's so good. And so oftentimes in our world, whether it's Thanksgiving or Christmas or any other time of the year, we can say the right thing in the wrong way, which then makes it the wrong thing. And,
Yes.
we're taught Jesus spoke the truth in love.
Mhm.
The Jews would refer to the Messiah coming with what they would call the disposition of the Messiah, which isn't just that he said the right things, it's that his heart was always in the right things. And I
Mhm.
think for us, sometimes we get too caught up in truth, maybe, and a little bit not caught up enough in just peacemaking, which we are called to be peacemakers and
Yes.
caring for people. And it's not just that I say the right thing or that I speak truth, it's the way I speak it and the heart behind how I speak it. I think that's so important.
Because like you were just saying, truth can be harsh,
Hmm.
but love softens it. So both are necessary,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
mixed together, it's a great combination and to a great reminder to speak the truth in love. And I think that's the idea, again, to get to peace and love at the end of the
Yeah.
night.
Yeah. Yeah. So good. So good. All right. What's number four?
Number
Fourth
four,
step.
focus on the good stuff and leave the rest behind.
Mm,
And so if you what you look for, you're gonna find, right?
wow.
So if you look for that Uncle Joe or Aunt Maisie to come up and you're gonna find them, they're gonna show up and do the very thing you're expecting them to do. So if you're gonna see even when they come, you could even sometimes kind of take the air out of the tire, right? And rain on their parade, get there first. Bring up a conversation that might be about the memories of their family and let them tell you about the history of the family that they might know, and you sort of kind of take away their game plan if they come to talk about those things, and so that you're driving the conversation. So that's the good
Yeah.
stuff you're focusing
Yeah.
on, and so you get there ahead of them and beat them to the punch, so to speak. That is a way to also sidetrack so you can still focus on the good stuff in the conversations, whatever you're having.
So good. I mean, even as Christians, shouldn't we be people that are focused on the good and not the what's wrong with everybody?
Yeah.
Certainly, there's going to be moments of critical thinking and even criticizing people to some degree, but
Right.
even that criticism is from a heart of love to make them better. And too oftentimes, we might have a parent who abused us, or a parent who didn't do this right or this wrong, or cousins or whatever, and we want to criticize everything about them instead of talking about the good things.
Yeah.
And my
Yeah.
goodness, isn't it called Thanksgiving? That is literally
Hello.
shouldn't we be giving thanks to God ultimately,
Mhm.
but also to one another for what they did good in our lives and not just focused on what they didn't do or what was done poorly?
Yeah.
It's Thanksgiving. Let's be thankful for the people that we have there. And every one of us, for everybody that's in our house, almost without exception, there's something to be thankful for them being there.
Yeah, and I think I love that what you just brought up, because I think gratitude, as we know, it changes everything, right? So
Oh yeah.
if we it's hard to be grateful Thanksgiving and at the same time, at their same time, be anything else but, right? So
Yeah.
gratitude is a great way to carry around with you, a lens through which to look. And sometimes even the very fact of Uncle Joe, going back to him, or Aunt Maisie, you can also find what can you be grateful for, and even go there with them, lead
Hmm.
them in that direction, because I find, as the scripture says, give thanks in all circumstances. And I
Hmm.
think sometimes we can find in that person something good there. What if you center on that this Thanksgiving to make peace and joy your outcome for the night?
Yeah, yeah, Kingsley, that's so good. That's so good. So let's begin to get near wrapping up with this. I'm going to
Yeah,
have you, if you could, just walk back through all five of those. But all
right.
everybody who's listening or watching, I just encourage you to put yourself in this. So don't let these just be interesting questions or interesting ideas, but thinking about it in your own circumstance. How can you actually incorporate these five steps into your life? Okay. All right. So Kingsley, walk us through those one more time.
Of course. So the first one is don't expect this Thanksgiving to be a Hallmark movie shoot, right?
Mhm,
Step number two is know what triggers you and have a plan of action.
mhm,
Step number three, don't take the bait no matter how tempting it is. Eat the food, don't take the bait.
mhm.
And step number four, focus on the good stuff and leave the rest behind. When we are able to do those four things, we get to what we started off with. You're going to leave with lots of love, less of leftovers, right? You can't control what others bring to the table, but you can control what you leave behind. Let that become your goal. And I guarantee, I would almost guarantee, I would can't say I can't, but I would almost think you're going to have a better Thanksgiving this year than maybe at any other time in your life. Focus on these five things and see what happens as a result.
That's so good. That's so good. All right, Kingsley, do you have anything else on this subject that you'd like to share?
I also want to mention a closing thought here, and peace at Thanksgiving doesn't mean everyone behaves.
Mm,
It means you choose to stay steady even when they don't, right? You're
mm.
responsible for yourself. You can't control the room, but you can control your response, and that's where peace begins.
So good. So good. All right, for everybody listening, let me just real quick talk about Kingsley for a second. Kingsley has spoken in our church multiple times over the years, even
Mhm.
in the old church, the small church.
Yeah.
We've brought him in to talk on family therapy. He did a conference once for us. Actually, when I was a youth pastor, you came in and did a
Yes.
parenting conference one time for us years
Yes.
ago. Again, back when we both had hair. Um,
Yeah.
and you've been a part of our church from a distance for a long time, but I do highly recommend you, if anybody's listening to this, that maybe you're a pastor. Kingsley does an outstanding job of coming in, teaching parenting or marriage workshops or a marriage conference, anything that's going to be in that kind of marriage family therapy genre. He's an outstanding communicator, as you just heard on this podcast. I encourage you to get his book. What is the name of your book? And can you give us a quick
My most recent books, simple, shameless plug right here, is
yeah.
called The Joyful Wife, Seven Connection Skills to Better Understand Your Husband, Rekindle Love, and Deepen Intimacy, and it's available on Amazon. Thank you for allowing me to share that.
Yeah, yeah. So good. So make sure you get his book. And then the other thing I'll say is even doing outreach type stuff. Kingsley doesn't even know this, but his name has come up a few months ago and will be something we probably talk to you about this year because we're working with a local school, Rogers Middle School. In our case, it's where one of our locations is meeting at. And in Rogers, they have a lot of issues with the students and parents and just cell phones and communication and
Yes.
just bad behavior and all these things. And so one of the things I've told the principal there is I said, hey, we could sponsor a parenting night that's at the school. It's not the church thing, it's the school's thing,
Right.
but we will pay for the therapist or the person to come in. And so Kingsley's name came up for that. So even outside of the church world, he
Yeah.
is amazing in that. And then last but not least, obviously we have our counseling center at Arise, and it is wonderful. But you do counseling and you do almost all of it or all of it on Zoom and
Yeah.
online.
Virtual.
And so
Yes.
people,
Yes.
if they are interested and they need marriage counseling or if they need family therapy of some sort, they can reach out to you and actually receive that. You may be in Miami, but they can be anywhere and join you
Yes.
via Zoom. So how do they reach out to you if they want to connect?
Yeah, so a great question. So thank you again for allowing me to share that. So kingsgrant.com is really my hub. They can go there and they can find anywhere to link with me. And that way, and of course, all social media at Kingsley Grant. And so my name is really what it is, but they can find kingsgrant.com is where they can get everything they need from about me.
Yeah. And Kingsley Grant, such a great name too. Like it
Yeah.
just sounds like a great Kingsley. I should have
Yeah,
named my
thank
son
you.
Kingsley. It's a great name.
Yeah, my dad I chose to give me that name because of the English colonial type of thing we came out of. And
Right.
so Kingsley was a great cricketer. Cricket is another sport that's universal. And he said, you know what? I think your name should name Kingsley. And so I got that name. I think I'm glad it's unique. And thank you for mentioning that too.
Yeah, yeah. All right, with that all being said, I hope you enjoyed this episode today. Do me a favor, make sure that you like and subscribe. Leave your comments. I love to see your comments every time you leave them. I always read them. As well as any questions. We want to get to a place where, whether it's on social media or on YouTube, where I do some episodes where I'm doing nothing other than answering people's questions. And so leave your questions. And if if you're listening to this on Spotify or someplace where you rate the podcast, do us a favor, give us a 5-star rating so that the word can get out even further. And then last but not least, maybe this is obvious, but there may be other people you want to send this to as well. Maybe you know people that have tension inside the families. Maybe you're in a family where you know it's going to cause tension around, and you just want to spread this word around to the family so everybody can go in kind of with a similar mindset. I think that might be helpful as well. So think about who you might want to share this with. But with that all being said, thank you so much for being with us today on Creating the Future. Thank you, Kingsley. Thank you, everybody who is watching. And as you get ready for Thanksgiving, let's have a peaceful, wonderful Thanksgiving this year.